Welcome back to Mad Props. This is episode 59 of Mad Props, and today we have a very special guest to me, Damon StCloud. Damon StCloud was the first guest on my Offstage series almost 10 years ago. This is actually the first conversation we're having that wasn't over text, at least, in that 10-year span. So I'm very happy about this. I'm very excited for this. I'm excited to catch up with him. This is going to be really exciting, and I can't wait for you guys to hear how the interview goes. Damon and I met through Offstage. So when I started Offstage, there was a bigger artist. You're going to hear more about this in the interview, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But there was a bigger artist that was going to be a part of Offstage, and then they decided not to do it anymore. So we had to pivot, and we're like, what can we do? Like, who can we bring on? And I heard Damon on Music Choice of all places. I really loved the song. It was Charlie Bartlett that I heard. I reached out to him. Ipso facto, here we are. 10 years later, he was on Offstage, and I can't wait for you guys to hear about what we did, how it went for him, how it went for me, and all that stuff. Damon is like I said, he's a hip-hop artist. He's from New Jersey. Since Offstage, he's done so much more, though. He's a DJ now. He's running like all these these different ways for artists to become bigger. You're going to hear more about him. I don't want to really give away too much about that because you're going to hear a lot more about it. But he runs his own recording studio. He works for BET. All this stuff we're going to talk about. He has a new song we're going to talk about. All this stuff. It's going to be really great. Since we have this time for a second, if you haven't ever seen Offstage, it's on the Schnabel Studios YouTube page. If you've never seen Offstage, for me, just go check it out. Go check it out, see what it's all about. I know there was its problems with Offstage. We've had Offstage podcasts before, like specific to Offstage, which I've always considered bringing back. They were about production, whatever. But I know, like, overall, it was successful for me because it got my feet wet in the industry. It had its successes, it had its failures, it had its learning experiences. But it's on the Schnabel Studios YouTube page. They're all for free. You can go watch them now. So if you have some time, you want to go watch it, I would greatly appreciate it because it's kind of my baby, and I want to get back into doing film, and I haven't been able to, so that's all I have so far. But I'm not going to let this go for too long. I want to get right to the Damon StCloud interview because it was really good. We had some really good conversations, really good topics we talked about, so I don't want to take up any more time. Let's get to this interview. Run those credits. This is Mad Props.
Hey, it's Damon StCloud. Let's start the show.
Damon, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. If people don't know, this is like a 10-year anniversary. Almost, it's technically 9-year anniversary of the first time we met. But thank you for coming on and catching up and talking about yourself. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our experience with Offstage and stuff like that. But let's start with, how are you? How are you doing? How have the last 10 years treated you?
Oh, Chris, thank you. It's been good. I know, so from 9 years from when we first shot the documentary, just about me being an artist, which I really appreciate you reaching out and doing that. I remember when I first got the email. My dad actually got the email. He was like, "Yo, someone from Connecticut." Chris, "Yo, he wants you to do this show. He's gonna record you." I was in school at the time, so my mind was in 5 different places. So I was like, okay, all right, cool. And then since then, I just been obviously continue school. I graduated. I was able to get an internship at Complex. Now I work at BET on the music programming side, so I still work in music, producing music, writing, have a studio. So things have I've grown a lot. I've grown a lot since then. From I felt my sophomore year, I'm pretty sure I was failing 2 classes. I had 16 credits, but I was able to turn stuff around. I was able to graduate a half a semester early. And kind of really turn turn things around, like as far as like my grades, my focus, and just kind of like taking myself a bit more like seriously. So like that's it's crazy. Like we were just speaking like 10 years, 9 years. It seems like it's gonna be so long. It feels like you're gonna get like the Star Wars monologue and like
Yeah.
100 years ago and all that stuff. But like in reality, it's ill because it's like it's gone by so fast, and even like how we were discussing earlier, like even the past 4 years since the pandemic, like it being 2024 now, 2020 feels like just yesterday, but it was like 4 years
Yeah.
ago, and we're still here and healthy and thriving. So man, I'm grateful.
It is crazy to think that the world shut down 4 years ago. Like
Good,
we're coming
yeah,
up on the 4 year anniversary. It's in a couple weeks. Like it's just crazy to
yeah,
think that happened. That Tom Hanks and Donovan Mitchell got sick almost 4 years ago, coming up in a couple weeks, which is just
yeah.
crazy. So we first met through Offstage, which people are, if this is your first time listening, this is kind of like started as a product of that and then became its own thing. But Offstage was a documentary series that I started, and I was telling you a little bit off air, but I was going to save it for this. That was the first film anything I did after college. I graduated the year we shot it. So like I went out, I bought a camera, and I was like, all right, I need to keep my skills sharp. Let's do a documentary. Let's see how it is. And actually, I'm about to tell you some stuff you probably don't even know about it. So
Okay,
the
okay.
you were the first episode, but you were not the first option. So listen to this.
Damn.
The
Okay.
this all started because we were in contact with a like major player at the time. I don't know if I don't should I just say it? Who cares? So they were playing. It was Imagine Dragons at MetLife Stadium, and
No
and so
competition, right?
and we're getting ready for it and we're getting prepared and coming up on the date, and we get an email and they said actually we're done, we're backing out of it. And I actually was there and I was talking to a friend of mine who I did a lot of filming with, and I was like, honestly, that's crazy because like this, they're a big band and stuff like that. But I, there's so many behind the scenes documentaries of the big bands. Like we're just gonna get lost in the fray. It's like, what if we found people that are up and coming and we can like highlight people that are up and coming and that are just like starting to build their own careers and stuff like that. And that's when we started looking. And then we found you from the channel Music Choice. So Music Choice was playing your song. I was like, this song's pretty sick. Like, who is it? And I looked into it, and that's where it rolled from. Got the email, emailed you. We set it up. And then you became the first episode of that series, which was a series of 10. So there's a little behind the scenes for you that you didn't even realize that it all
Yeah.
started with Imagine Dragons.
Nice, man. Yeah. No, I guess like no competition, right?
I mean, listen,
Awesome.
I think having you on and doing it with you and doing it the way we did was much better. Not better as in like obviously having somebody with a big following would have also gave us more views than we did. Although we did really well. I mean, your documentary itself got into like 10 film festivals. The next one got into like 15 film. We did pretty well with what we did, but I just think it would have just gotten lost in the fray. I really do. I say that all the time. It just would have gotten lost in the fray. Just another behind the scenes of a big band, and they're going to tell us we have to cut this, we have to cut that, we have to cut this, we have to cut that, and it would have just been 10 minutes of them sitting on a couch playing an acoustic, getting ready for the show, and then walking out, and it would have been a 3-minute video. So
Yeah.
I felt like we got to do a lot more, and yeah, I think we got to do a lot more. And another thing with yours that is didn't happen with any other ones is I had some people that helped me produce that one. It was people I went to school with that were very into everything, and the biggest thing that there's one regret I really have with that, one big regret, and it was they told me to cut a lot of stuff, and I look back and I'm like, I shouldn't have cut anything. I shouldn't have cut anything. So we had to cut some stuff because like we were on certain campuses, we were in certain places, and we didn't have the rights to the like when we went to southern when we
Yeah.
went to remember we went to Southern Connecticut State and we went all over
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
homecoming.
Yeah.
They wouldn't sign any documents for us to use it, and I was just like, who cares? Like, let's just do it anyway. And then the people that were producing are like, well, you'll get sued. It's like, sued for what? Like, this was all out of my pocket. We don't have anything promoted. Like, what are they going to sue for? Like, we'll just cover it with, we'll blur it out. And I always wished I had just put that stuff in there because we had a lot of fun there. But there's a little behind the scenes for you of this whole thing. Like, what was your reaction? Like, you said that I emailed you and 1,000 things went through your head. So what was your reaction when some random person said, I want to shoot a documentary with you?
Yeah, so my reaction first was just, I mean, I was excited to do the documentary. I was looking forward to it, and it was kind of like a I made it moment. So it was cool just seeing like, my parents really proud. Of something I accomplished with my music at the time. I mean, at the time I knew I was good at music, but music was not necessarily my focus or my priority. My priority was always like school, especially at that time. So it was an exciting time. I like told all my friends. I told every friend I know to like show up. Like three showed up. You know what I'm saying? And like really rolled with me and stuff like that. And they're still my friends to this day. And it was kind of like a okay. I've I kind of like already felt like a celebrity. I already felt like I made it because it was like, oh shoot, like I just did this song and things are just kind of happening. And so it was cool. It was cool. It was cool. Like I said, my friends that were there to this day, like my friend Vincent, he's still with me to this day. He runs the studio with me. Literally, I was with one of my other friends, Steve. Literally yesterday, we were just at the Legacy Game Classic. It's like a big HBCU initiative they have here in Newark, New Jersey. So we were just out yesterday. And literally talk to everyone like still. So that's something that's also like bonded our friendship. At the time, it was just like I was just trying to get everyone to go. I was asking like every girl that was in my phone, like, "Hey, you gotta go to Connecticut?" And like maybe like one showed up and everything like that. So it was ill. I appreciate it. It was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, you're talking about getting people to show up. So this was one thing I learned from that experience.
Okay.
Don't run the show yourself. Just record it.
Mhm.
So I had to set up the venue, the opening acts, everything, which I just thought was a regular thing. And then I was talking to another filmmaker about it. They're like, no, like he should depict the show the person's going to. First time I ever did it. What are you going to do? But that, by the way, that place, the space, no
Yeah.
longer exists. It's gone now. It's no longer with us. So the
Mhm.
space is gone, and yeah. But so you talked about a little bit running a studio called The Kitchen, right? That's the name of the
Yeah.
studio that you run. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Yes, so the kitchen it was founded by E. Vincent, who was with us at the shoot. He founded it along with an artist named Lethal the Third, and it's like an all-encompassing like music studio in Union, New Jersey. Ironically, it's like right by the school I graduated from, Keene University, and we started the studio during the pandemic. Actually, like right when the doors opened, the pandemic hit. Um, and so we kind of like sat for a minute, and now with the everything back open starting like 2022, we've just been up and running, and we've been like recording artists, booking interviews for artists, and we also have like two events that we do. One is called Pass the Aux. Pass the Aux is an event I created to help artists get used to the idea of their music being played in a public space. Upcoming artists usually don't have that opportunity where like you just hear your music and you just hear an influx of people hearing your music at the same time, unless you're performing as well. So, here at the kitchen, what we do is we invite artists to pull up, and they play their music. They get feedback, and then they pass the aux. The next artist goes and plays their music, and so on and so forth. And it's just a way to continue to just like build the community and just give people something to do on a Thursday or Friday night that's music related. And then the second event that we do at the kitchen is one called Who's Cooking Next. It's our open mic series. We currently do it with a company called Bunker with another person who's at the shoot, the DJ in KNX. He was there. He was my DJ for the event. So now he owns a store on Halsey Street in Newark called Bunker. It's also like a DJ academy. And what we do there is an open mic series, and artists from like all over the tri-state, like they show up, and they just perform and kind of rock out. And it's kind of like it's just like a party for real. So we like just throw a party every month, and then artists perform. And now we're gearing up for a tour. And right now, my job is just handling all the events and then recording artists as well, producing with artists. And yeah, we're right in Union, New Jersey, and we've been rocking and rolling since like 2022, since everything's been like official tissue, with the pandemic thing.
You had a new song drop, and we'll get to that in a second. So from the filming that we did to now, what made you kind of go more behind the scenes? Because I feel like the music, not that it slowed down, it just came from a different direction now. So why did you kind of move behind the scenes of the music instead of in front of the mic?
Yeah, and I totally the output of my music like totally slowed down, because at the time when I was in school, I think I kind of like I would make a lot of music, but I would always ask for an opinion before I drop music, and if the opinion wasn't positive, I would take it at face value, and I would take it a little too literal, and that's a part of growing up to kind of know like you do have to have your own agenda a bit set and your own intention set. So just like with anything else in life, like if there's a no, you kind of just pivot to you adapt. All right. So at that time, I just wasn't aware that like even if someone says something's not gonna work, you still see it through because that's your job as an artist. So at that time, I was still making music, still recording, still producing, still going to school and everything like that. But I really just had to mature in that way and realize, hey, if someone says this song sucks, it doesn't necessarily mean the song sucks. They might have had a bad day that day. They might be hungry. They might forget this whole conversation in the next 30 minutes. You got to just literally put your music out. So that was just like a process for me. And now kind of through like just trial and error, like not just put out music and it's kind of chill. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel the same way. And when I do something like a podcast or a video or anything that I do in my own bubble here, I have like a handful. I would say maybe 5 or 6 people that I truly trust their opinion on it. Like this is the opinion I want to hear from. And everyone, like I'll send it to somebody else. Like say I'll send it to somebody I talk to occasionally or somebody that I'm kind of friends with just to see what they think as well because I want outside voices. But the reason I trust those opinions so much is because they're going to give me the feedback I need. Like the one thing there's 2 things that suck when you're trying to do something, when you're trying to create. There's the yes men that'll say, yeah, it's great. You can't have those because you're never going to be able to produce anything. There's also the people that don't give you, they'll say like, yeah, this isn't that good, but they won't give you why it's not good. Like I'm completely fine if somebody came to me and said, your hosting skills are terrible. You do terrible. If they said, but this is why, I would like that feedback because you're kind of learning about it helps you grow. Like you're learning about what you do wrong and it helps you grow to do better. But if you're just like, you stink, like if it's just an internet troll, you suck. It's like, well, why? Like, why do I suck? Like, what do you have to say? And that's usually just because someone doesn't like you or something like that. But those are the 2 that you can't have in that circle are the people that are just, yes, it's great. And the people that are like, it's not good, but don't give you an explanation why. So I understand what you're saying. Like, when I was first starting, it's the same thing. Like, I took the face value, it's not good or it is good, and just rolled with it. Mm-hmm. And it didn't help me learn why it wasn't good or why it was good. Like, why did you enjoy that? What was good about it? Instead of just saying, yeah, it's good. Like, did you enjoy the flow? Did you enjoy the cadence? Did you enjoy, like, the structure? Like, what was good about it? So once you learn, like, don't take the feedback and take what you think is correct and what you don't think is correct and move into it. That's when I feel like your creating really builds and grows.
Yeah. So that was just like kind of the process I needed to kind of endure and the test I needed to endure to kind of get to the point where it's like, okay, I know what my audience like expects from me and I know what people like from me as an artist and from a production standpoint, what kind of stories they want to hear, what kind of production, like music production they want to hear, how they want to hear my voice, and then how to kind of like meld that into what I'm trying to like maybe show them or teach them creatively. And so it was just like a very like it was like a very interesting like almost like an A&R process, but without like an A&R on label or nothing like that, just like life A&R. But in the meantime, like I always stayed active in my like career, so I always stayed like whether it's like doing shows, staying on stage, so I'm always staying sharp there, or just like producing, just applying myself and just always looking to like come up. Yeah, I has that. I'm not gonna stop that.
Yeah. So are you still out doing live shows even though the new music isn't flowing as much? And like I said, you do have a new song. We'll get to that next. But are you still going out there doing shows? Are you doing more like open mics? Like what kind of shows are you doing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do an open mic with there's a company called Out of This World, and it's ran by Yaya Fire. So she has a bunch of different like open mic series. So I'm like always like going to her shows, like supporting that. And then I just like Eventbrite, like look for stuff. And then now like since I put that effort out, people like will reach out to me like, hey, can you perform? Or hey, can you like do this for us? Or hey, can you DJ for our event, so on and so forth. So it really hasn't like stopped as far as like me performing. And once I like put it out there, it usually comes back in some way, shape, or form. So that's been cool. Like, yeah, that's been cool. Yeah.
So is Street Punks, which is your new song, the return to music? Like, are you gonna start making more new songs? Are you making a new album? I know you wrote to me that it was in a short film called What the Hell, which I tried looking for. I think I found the trailer for it. I don't know
Yeah.
if I found the actual. Does that sound right? There's a trailer on YouTube for it. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
remember what the production company. Okay, so I found the
Mm-hmm.
trailer for it, which we'll link in the description below. But is this like going to be an album coming soon? Like new music coming soon? Was this just a one-off?
Yeah, so with Street Punks, this is actually actually the second single I've released. Um, and this song is definitely there's definitely like a project coming. Um, and like I said, just got picked up for this like this short comedy film called What the Hell, created by like Manville TV and Brandon Tyler. They just like once again like I put the song out, I put the video out, and reached out to me like, yo, this is dope. Can we add it to the film? So I was like, yeah, sure. And like, it sounds like a cool idea. Um, and then as far as like with music, yeah. So I've been like putting out music. I've been DJing. It's funny. Like I've gotten a lot of like different messages of people. Like people will see me like, yo, like what's up? When you gonna put out new music or like so on and so forth. So it was kind of like me just being consistent and just saying, okay, if you're an artist, you gotta be an artist. So the Street Punks, I really made the song because at the time when I wrote the song, it was like a frustrating time in America. It was a frustrating time in the world. We talking a lot of like police brutality, and at the time, not that that's not what bothered me. That always bothers me. But what was aggravating me the most was how it is narrated in the news. So in the news, when a black child, well, I noticed when a black child was a victim of something, they will always be villainized. But if, in the news, if a child from another race was a perpetrator of something, they will always be humanized. So that's why the choruses go, street punks never gave three Fs, they just want to wreak havoc and roll weed up. Because that's kind of how I feel as though black victims are like how their narrative is created around in the news. Whether you look at like Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin or anything like that, they always kind of pivot to what made this person a quote unquote bad person and not really focusing on their humanity. So that is really, I really didn't even care about necessarily music or my own career, anything like that, or what I could gain from it. I mean, that's cool when I'm like going to sleep and I'm about to go dream. I'm thinking of Grammys and stuff. Like that's great, but like I was really just, I was just, I would say aggravated. I was aggravated at the news, and I just needed to say that,
Yeah.
in that song. That was
And
important.
and speaking of what you're saying, yeah, the villainization in the hero, the I don't even know his name because I don't care to really learn it. But the dude that shot the people in Michigan became like a right wing hero, and he's like millions of followers now. The dude's a murderer. Like he
Yeah,
murdered people, and
yeah,
people look at him like he's a hero. But it is the message is great. I will say, very catchy hook. The hook is extremely catchy. I
thank
was
you.
listening to it. I listened to it a couple months, like a month or a couple months ago, or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I shared it on Schnabel Studios page and stuff like that. And then I was listening to it again. I was like, dude, it's catchy. It definitely is. It's a catchy song. It gets stuck in your head. It's an earworm for sure. It really is.
Thank
And
you.
and so what was the like the concept behind the video itself? Like it's comical. It's clearly a
Yeah,
comical type video and stuff like that. What was the process about creating that?
yeah. So the story in the video is just simple. It's just a security guard running around chasing a protagonist version of Mercedes. He's chasing this dude all around just all around this office space, and the dude is just trying to escape and just get out and just break free and just be free. And so, for me, what I wanted to do was just take a lighthearted approach on a very serious topic because I think it's very important that you do show honest and real depictions of what's going on in the world so that the world pays attention. But what I learned in my creative process and just learning more about, the business of entertainment, unfortunately, being African American, a lot of what we sell content wise is trauma, is black trauma, because a lot of times that's all we really have for our stories that is, commodifiable and monetizable, is our pain, is our suffering. So I did not want to take that approach in the music video because I didn't want to trauma dump or trauma shock people before it come up. I want to
Yeah.
come up. I don't want to sell out my people to come up. So I said, okay, I'm gonna take a lighthearted comedic approach. I kind of like got some inspiration from like Martin Lawrence. I got some inspiration from like Tyler Perry. I got some inspiration from Eddie Murphy. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna take something that they did, which is play more than one character in the film. Also, because I couldn't get no one to like come and do the film. They were, oh, like, yeah, I got this, sounds good. Then I'm like, once again, they're all doing their own thing. So I was like, damn, this is like a 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it myself. So the basic concept of the video is just like it's just a cat and mouse. It's just a cat and mouse between the security guard and this figure who we're gonna learn more about. But this protagonist, he's just trying to run away and just trying to be free. And it's just something funny to laugh at and still get the point of the song.
Yeah, I think taking a comical approach is great because when you yell something, if the people, the group of people that you're talking about here, if you yell something back at them, they're just going to yell back at you. There's no talking about it. So if you take the comical approach, it's almost like a turn the other cheek. Like, I hear what you're saying, but like I'm not gonna come back with violence like you would. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna come back with something funny, something entertaining, but I'm still gonna get that message out there, and you're still gonna see it. So like taking that comical approach is, and you've done multiple videos, not like this. You did another um, video that was, what was the name of the video you did? I think it was in 2020,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. So
Right? You did the song.
it was actually literally called 2020. So it
Hmm.
was kind of like my take on shots like Uncle Murda from New York and Skills from VA. They always do like these wrap ups on like the endless stuff that happened in a year. So that year, I mean, we ain't know if we was gonna see it 2021 or 2022. We ain't know what was gonna happen. So I was like, I gotta say something. But that song was just called like Happy New Year 2020. The origin of that song, I was just actually gonna do like a little like promo campaign where I just took other people's beats and I rapped over it. So originally, I rapped over this song called "Fuck the World" by Brent Faiyaz, an R&B singer from DMV, and that's what I wrote to it. And then it was just so ill. I was like, I probably should make my own beat. So I put that out. I got a good response, but then I made my own beat, and then just out of like boredom for real, like the music video only just came out of boredom and just me being confined to my bedroom at the time, and I put that out, and it was just something for myself, just to like, all right, I did that, I got that down, yeah.
I appreciate you helping me out there. I was like, I remember this, but I can't remember what it was called. Like I was trying so hard to like get it out of you because I was like, it exists. I know it exists. I don't remember what it's called. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
remember
called
what it
Happy
is.
New Year 2020. Yeah. Nah, for sure. It's all good.
All right, so I'm gonna take a left turn here because there is something I'm dying. I wanted to get the music stuff. I wanted to get gotta let you promo yourself. Gotta let you promo yourself. You love Spider-Man, so
Yeah.
I love that you love Spider-Man. If you could, people that are watching, I mean, just look at behind me, right? Like there's Spider-Man all over the place.
Yeah.
Where does your love for Spider-Man come from, and how deep does it run?
Yes, my love for Spider Man comes from just me being like a kid and like growing up, going to movie like everybody else and him being relatable. You know, there aren't too many superheroes whose story you can relate to, even just on a surface daily level. Just being like, okay, everyone knows what it's like to go to school. Spider Man, he went to school. Like not college, he was in high school. Everyone knows what it's like to have a crush. Spider Man had a crush, and like she was just not feeling him at all. And like until he became Spider Man, then he was like, ill. You know what I mean? Um, everyone has like their parent. He had his uncle, and I just remember as a kid, always hearing that in my house. Just with great power comes great responsibility. So Spider Man, he was a human just as much as he was a hero, and I did like the back studies on it and just studying Stan Lee and his life and stuff like that, and I understand that like that was intentional and that was part of his strategy for changing just the comic book game was to human instead of like making superheroes, he really made heroes that are human with their stories. And so just growing up, I liked the Hulk, I liked Ghost Rider, but Spider Man was like the dude that was like, okay, um, I can see myself being Spider Man. He had like a crafty like job with the mean boss and stuff
When he
like
had
that.
one.
Yeah. When he had one, right? When he was blessed enough to have one. So I see my parents. I grow up. I see my parents work every day. So it kind of was just like a way to kind of like see things from their lens too. Just seeing like what it's like to like work and all of that. And he was just cool. I mean, he was ill. He was a smart ass. He was just an ill dude,
So,
man. And
so
I'm
you're a Peter,
skinny.
you're a Peter
Yeah,
Parker guy
Peter
over
Parker.
Miles Morales.
Nah. I'm Miles Morales all day. But it was like even that it was ill like seeing that even at the fact that they cared enough to like show some representation, that was cool. Like but I think I went that was I did for my birthday, I went to go see Spider-Verse or something like that. But Miles Morales, all of that was dope. I mean, like who doesn't want to be Spider-Man? Like who can't
Yeah.
relate to Spider-Man?
Well, the, the
He's
the video games are doing Miles Morales super dirty. They're just doing him dirty. I don't. They're not taking him in the right direction. I don't think. I truly don't.
yeah.
I will say I've
Nah,
never been. Are you a comics Spider-Man guy? More the movies, like the TV shows. Like where do you get your Spider-Man
I
from?
was I mean, definitely like the movies, the shows, like all of that. I definitely had the comic books, all the way from like the older ones, from like the more the new age ones. I'm from New Jersey, from North
Hmm.
Jersey specifically, so like I live right by New York City, so it's nothing to like go get a comic book. Even like I still go to like not Marvel Comics. It's a comic book store like right by Times
Midtown,
Square.
right? Midtown
Mid,
Comics.
yeah, I go there at least three
Oh, I
times
know
a week.
that. I know Midtown Comics. Trust me.
Yeah, so like I go there, I go to that second floor, and I just chill out. It's just like a place to like just decompress and just like it's ill. So I definitely was big into the comic books. I always gravitated towards the later published ones, like kind of like the '90s looking ones. I really like
Hmm.
the aesthetic and kind of like the darkness of them. Like they
Yeah.
have a very just more dark energy kind of to them. My favorite one is the collab one he did with with Ghost Rider. So he has one like with it's like Spider Man and Ghost Rider. You know, they'd always
Yeah.
have like them go into each other's worlds and everything like that, and kind of like kill bad guys and all type of stuff, all type of stuff. That was my favorite one. They had to defeat the Hobgoblin. Um, yeah, they had to avenge some lady that like died and shit. So they just had to
Yeah.
like beat his ass. It was
Hey,
yeah, yeah.
when your two heroes come together, like your two favorite heroes come together, it's so exciting. Like I don't know if you could see because it may cut off, but I have
Mm-hmm.
the. Can you see the one I'm pointing to or no? Should I take it
No,
down?
no, 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 I
I
can't.
got you.
Cool, cool, cool.
Spider-Man and Invincible. Huge Invincible guy, huge Spider-Man
Okay.
guy, right? So when
Okay,
these
cool.
two come together, because Kirkman went to was it Cory Walker or something like whatever. Kirkman wrote the story of Spider-Man for a little bit, and then he obviously created Invincible. So they have like a combination, and it's one of those combinations you never thought was like.
Yeah,
Invincible is Image Comics, like he's not even Marvel, but
yeah,
when the comic comes together, you're like, dude, this is mind blowing. So I understand, like you say, the Ghost Rider. Like a lot of people probably wouldn't say Ghost Rider Spider Man. It's my number one, but my
yeah.
number one series with Spider Man is Spider Man and Deadpool. Like because I love both of them so much, and it was really good for a while, and then it kind of falls off a little bit.
They all do. You know, they all break our heart. Just like, yes.
I know it's. I'm sitting like there's a certain storyline. I don't
Yeah,
remember exactly what it is. I'm sitting there, I'm like, read, I'm going. And it hits this one comic, and it's like this storyline just isn't as entertaining. And I can't imagine it was the same writer anymore. But that always breaks my heart when you're just so into it, and then you get to a certain part, you're like,
yes. You're
ooh,
locked
this is
in, and it's
tough.
like you just right there. But
So
it's yeah.
are you still getting any of the comics or anything like that, or is that something you used to do and now you just kind of intake it through the rest of the media like everybody else with Spider-Man?
I'm pretty much like everybody else. I'm nothing special. I'm just like everybody else. I go to Midtown Comics, and I like just go and like read for the $3.99. But yeah, I just
So you're still
now I
reading
work.
them. You're still
Yeah,
reading
but
them. A
yeah,
lot of
but
people don't even read it. They play the game. They watch the movies,
yeah,
but that's their extent of the knowledge.
exactly. Like I mean, now that I'm so focused and like locked into my work, that I really just like I just kind of keep a tunnel vision. So if I'm not working, I obviously I take breaks out of my life, but like I'm so focused on my work that it's like my everything. It takes all my energy and in a good way. Like I'm just locked
Yeah,
in on
it
it.
takes
Yeah,
priority. Oh, trust me, I
yeah,
understand. That's how
yeah.
I feel with this show that you're on right now. I can't tell you the countless times I've been up until 2, 3 in the morning just editing clips or doing. I feel like I've had this conversation like 40 times this week about the social media aspect of this show. I can't stand the social media aspect of this show. Can't stand it. I work in social media. I can't stand it. But I know that's the way to do it. Like that's how you really have to promote it. You have to put it on social media, let other eyes see it, and let other eyes get to it. Like there's other ways to promote yourself, obviously, but like for podcasting right now, that is the number one way to get eyes on it. So
Yeah.
I want our social media to look crisp. Like if you go to the Instagram page, it doesn't have a ton of followers, but you go there, you scroll, everything is crisp, everything has a thumbnail, nothing's out of place. Like it looks really clean. And it's because that's how you kind of have to do it these days. And but I can't tell you the amount of times I'm up until 2 o'clock in the morning making clips, making graphics, putting stuff together, editing the episodes. Like I just locked
It's
into
the
the whole
grind.
thing on top of work. On top of work, you actually have to make money. Like this is what you're doing.
Just feeling, yeah. Yeah, it's
So
definitely a grind. Definitely a grind.
yeah,
Definitely doing all that, you definitely grinding. You know, you definitely working hard, man. Yeah,
yeah,
for real.
and it's just because you have the passion and the love for it, right? Like you love what you're doing. You like one day I would hope that something like this could be what makes your living, right? Like what you're
So,
doing makes your living. So this is the time now to really grind and get it going and stuff like that. So you've promoted a couple things so far, past the aux, the kitchen, stuff like that. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Like anything else you want to promote? Anything else? Promote yourself.
yeah,
Plug
yeah.
yourself. Plug yourself.
Yeah, so I mean myself, Damon StCloud. What I'm working on right now, I'm pushing Street Punks. That's really the song I'm pushing right now. Just dropped another song called All Yours. I got a few songs that's gonna be coming out shortly, and right now it's really what I'm gearing up for. Gearing up for the next tour. That's definitely gonna start in May. So
What the tour is this? Like you're going to different cities? Are you staying around? Because you said it's in Union, New Jersey. Are you staying around that area? Where's this tour going?
yeah, so it's gonna be in a few different cities. They're locking down their dates, kind of like how you said, like there's like work on one thing, and then you kind of trust like the company to work on everything else. So, um, right now I'm looking at New Jersey, Chicago, Philly, Connecticut, and New York City. So it's gonna be like the five cities. Um, I'm gonna be so right now it's gonna be with obviously with the kitchen. Got a tour coming up with another label called Sloppy Vinyl and our artist named Only Jamez. Um, and then I got another batch of shows coming up with a artist named Money Making Moose. And so, since I started DJing as well. So ever since like that's kind of kicked off, um, people have just been reaching out to me. So I just did three like shows in a row. That small tour with an artist named Akash. He had a song with Fetty Wap called Balenciaga. So I just did the domestic dates. So I was there. Remy Boy Monty was there. He performed with us. And I just went out and rocked with them. And right now they're overseas. They're in Nepal and Dubai and just traveling all crazy. I just stay here and kind of like knock it down for work and everything like that. So um, once they get back, we're gonna be back on the road with them. But right now, I'm putting all my energy into this tour with the kitchen and with Sabi Vinyl as well. And yeah, about to hit the road. It's looking like May, like early May. I'm gonna be on the
Chicago.
road this tour.
Chicago is a great place for you to go. I love Chicago
Yeah,
so much.
that,
It's
that,
such a beautiful city.
that,
It
that, that,
really is. That's one place I wouldn't mind ending up one day in my life is Chicago.
mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful and
Chicago.
stuff like that.
Well,
What else? You got anything else? You can find Damon on Damon StCloud. There's an underscore in there, right? Where's the underscore in
yeah,
your name?
yeah. So Damon StCloud, then underscore on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube at Damon StCloud. Instagram, wherever you pretty much subscribe to content. Uh, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Well, X, formerly known as Twitter.
How do you
It's,
feel about that? How do you feel about the name X? It's
um,
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because I mean, there's so many X's. There's DMX. There's a lot of X's.
Really
There's X,
great.
X, X, yeah. There's and I only say X is just such a it's such like a it's a letter. It's a letter. It has a lot of meanings. So I mean, it's gonna take a little minute for my mind to be
I,
programmed into X equals Twitter. The
You
math
could,
hasn't
but
got to that.
this is the most ridiculous part. If
Yeah,
you go to your settings, right? Go to
yeah.
your settings and click settings. It doesn't
Okay.
say x.com. It says twitter.com/settings. Like it's still twitter.com, which makes me think one day it's going to go back. I don't understand
Mhm.
why change it to a letter. Like I also didn't look into it, but like I don't understand what the appeal, whatever
I
Elon
think
Musk wants to do.
the appeal sometimes is just like I think from a design standpoint, it's just like the appeal of simplicity. And letters are like super simple. X is like when it comes to like marketing, X is a very seductive letter. So it's just really meant to just appeal to your eyes, your ears, and your senses. And I think because we've grown up with Twitter and we're familiarized with it. It's kind of like you wake up and your cat becomes a dog, your dog becomes a cat. It's just a switch. Um, that it's not gonna connect with us because it's not authentic to us. We're not. It's that brand is not authentic to us because it's the brand we know is like Twitter is like like when like your best friend starts acting brand new. It's like
Yeah.
yo, why are you have this new random accent or whatever like. So I think that's why it hasn't really connected because it's the Twitter space. Twitter's like 10 years plus deep with this audience. So
More than that.
yeah, so
Twitter's
to
been
kind
around
of
since like 2006. I think that's
yeah, so to kind of calling it X, I understand the sentiment from a design standpoint, and sometimes can go. Sometimes simple can be mistaken for broad, and that title is just a very broad title, and as sometimes it does you a service, sometimes it does you a disservice. I think when it comes to implementing it into an already existing server, it may be a disservice because that server already has such a silent fan base. But rather, if it was a new server, which is a bit much of a risk, because who wants to upstart a server and a base and have to collect all that data, right? But from a marketing standpoint, from a community building standpoint, it's I think it probably will be simpler to do in the digital space because or any space. You know, if you, I change the name of a town, if I change the name of West Orange to like some random name, it'd be hard to find and locate. The GPS might not pick it up as fast. The word of mouth might not pick it up as fast. I think it's just it was a social experiment, and the people will tell you what they like and what they don't like. I feel like the people are kind of saying they like Twitter, so that's all you can really do. I feel like as a creative.
But I don't think Elon Musk is going to bring it back, though. I think he wants it to be. He wants it to be his own. He wants it to be his own. He wants it to be his thing, right? Like he bought it, he paid all that money for it. He wants it to be his thing. How do you feel about musicians with social media? Like, how do you feel about like becoming a TikTok artist almost or something like that? I have very, very strong opinions on musicians and social media, but I want to hear yours first.
Yeah. So my opinion on artists becoming like, pretty much like, almost like whether it's a TikTok or whatever new platform is gonna come into the game next.
Well, not TikTok anymore, right? Because the Universal Music thing.
They shut that shit down. You would have thought someone rant. It's like got them out of there. I think that there's like a pro and a con to it. I think I'll start with the con. The con is that it makes the game move a lot quicker. So there's no now and forever are the same thing. No one's interested in potential. No one has time or interest to invest in potential, but only have time and interest to invest in facts and quantifiable facts. So that is a piece of the game that kind of makes everything fast because it's not about just developing you for the next so and so years. It's how do we get the most out of this next 6 months, and let it decide. So I think the con of that is, people, artists that do blow up organically or through the energy that they build and the energy that they build through creating content and creating their vision, it can hit them really fast if on the flip side they're not necessarily prepared for media, if they're not prepared for their stage performance and how to perform at a high level, if they're not prepared as much as they think for the game because no one has pretty much prepared them. It's all about right now, what can I need to eat right now. I think the pro of it is because social media, right, is the attractiveness of social media is like it's like a decentralized space in our minds. It's like a decentralized space. Anyone could win. It's like a lottery ticket. Is that if you are hungry, you will find a way to eat. So, no one necessarily will have to prepare your food for you. If you're hungry, you are going to find a way to eat. And so, that's what we're seeing with artists that have, blown up or have put things out there into the world, have gotten positive responses, and then have figured out ways to build relationships with who they need to know to get what they want. I actually think it benefits labels a lot because when it comes to long-term stability, that's what record deals kind of tell you that they provide for you. And a lot of artists do want a record, even though everyone preaches independence, like artists do want record deals because artists want to be able to move out of their neighborhoods, get groceries, and
become commercial. They want to
Yeah,
become commercial. That's
yeah,
that's the overall goal is not necessarily to sell out or anything like that, but to make money off of what you do. So
yeah.
this is the thing with like TikTok artists that I first of all, before I say anything, I applaud anyone that can take their art and make it something to live off of, something that is heard. Like same with this podcast, right? All I want is people to listen to it. So I completely commend that. I think the biggest problem with it though is now it's like, how do I make my song for TikTok? So it's if you really focus on 30 seconds of a 5 minute song, 4 minute song, or your song is a minute and a half long because you're really focusing on, can I make a piece that someone can make a dance out of, that someone can put in the background of their videos? Can I say one line that becomes this trend that people put, like it says something silly or something like that, and it takes away from the focus of not only the rest of that song, but like you're not going to see a complete album because you're trying to make TikTok songs, you're trying to make Instagram songs, so you're not even making like a full complete story. You're not telling a story with your music. Now that doesn't, you don't always have to do that, but when you have millions of artists that are all trying to do the same thing, it congests that like portion of music, and it takes away from the portion. Like you don't always want to hear a song that's catchy with one hook and that's it. You want to hear a story, you want to hear about this, you want to hear about that, and it kind of congests the one thing, but also it takes away from album building. It takes like nobody. Why would you listen to a full album? Why would you listen to a new artist's full album? It makes no sense to do it because you know, like especially if you heard it on TikTok. Like if I heard that song on TikTok, why am I going to go listen to their album? I know what they were trying to do, and that's where I see like, not to call
I
out
agree.
any, but
I agree.
that's what I saw with the big one that did it recently, and she is a big artist, but she
Okay.
kind of transferred her from making albums to making TikTok songs. Was Megan Trainor, who made 3 straight songs that were big TikTok trends. Good for her, right? She successfully did it. So,
Word.
you know, congrats to her. But that's kind of what those songs were trying to do. Like they were trying to just be in that space and be something that got millions and millions of views because every view was another view for her song or another dollar in her pocket. So it's
Yeah.
great because you make your money, but at the same time, musically, like creatively, it really does take away from it because you have one end goal instead of like I want to make this album that tells my story that can also make it like make me
Yeah.
big. It's more of like I'm gonna make this one song, focus on 30 seconds, and that's what we need to really push. And then you see it when you watch these people's like you'll watch the artists
Yeah.
TikTok and they'll use the same 30 seconds over and over and over. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with promoting your song that way, but when you're doing that and then you do a dance to try to make it a trend, or you do that and you try to make it like a meme, or like you're trying all this different stuff, it's clear that you just want that to get big on TikTok. So
Yeah, and people, I think the idea that the audience is ignorant is a fallacy. Audiences are aware of when something is authentic, and the things that you have do see. I think, for the most part, do have some type of authenticity to them, rather than the things that kind of go out quickly. It's usually because something's not connecting. But yeah, kind of like to the point you were making, and even to the point that I was making earlier, is it's a lot of what the game is about. And this moment is like it's about right now. No one has time to think about a year from now or what is or potential. And so what it kind of does is, um, the way it hurts the artist, or whether it hurts storytelling or art or philosophy, is a lot of people that are maybe circles, triangles, rectangles, octagons, trying to fit into a square. A very Yeah, and so it's that's where we're gonna as creatives and as storytellers, have to be um, more creative in the storytelling, more creative in the way we connect with people, and more willing to take risks, because um, it's like all things. It's a trend, but it's also engineering. So it's not really about obviously us. We're a part of our perspective is because we come from a certain time and cost of engineering, of social engineering. So the kids that are coming up now, whether they're ages from 6 to 12, they're coming up in a time of a not completely different, because some things never change, but the approach is a completely different way of social engineering.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
basketball. hmm
yeah.
I
I was
was
gonna
about to
say
say,
it's the artist. The artist is like, get big, then figure it out. It's not how does my music help me get big. It's get the following. Let's figure out the next step after that. Let's make this the first step. Let's get big. Let's blow up. Let's.
yeah,
I had someone I worked with once, and they came up to me, and I was like, what is your like. What is your career goals? What is your goal? And the goal was, and you could tell this is a younger employee. They were like, I just want to be famous. Like doing what? Like what do you just I don't know. I'll just blow up on something. It's like that's the same thing with music, right? It's like, well, how are you going to promote your music? Well, I'll just keep putting it on TikTok. It's like, but what are you going to do to like it? I'm just going to hope it blows up on TikTok and then I'll be set. And it's just not the right road to go down. If you had it like I applaud the artists that have done that and then made a career out of it. Honestly, someone that did that was basically Lil Nas X. No, like he made a song for a video on Twitter because he wanted to fit the weird horse meme. For people that don't know, he made Old Town Road and put it in the back of a meme. It was like a horse running through with a guy standing on it, and it was like, come over, no, my parents aren't home meme, and it was him on the horse or something like that.
Like that redemption was big at that time.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's what
you
it's
know,
about.
yeah. So that's a good example of how he used his creativity is a good example of, granted, I don't know his situation, but at that time, but from the way it was brought out, that is an example of how someone used their creativity to create some type of virality. But the reality is, even with songs and with music, much stuff goes viral, especially nowadays. Like I said, that's why I said things appear decentralized. There is a level of organicness to it, but it takes a lot of money to promote a record. It takes a lot of marketing. So even when we say, "Oh, this person's blowing up right now," it's really the marketing strategy is blowing up right now. Or dang,
Yeah.
this, I was just having a conversation with one of my friends the other night about a R&B singer, and she was saying, "Dang, she kind of fell off a little bit because she's doing everything. She's doing a feature. She's doing everything. She's like, oh, she's underappreciated, and it's like, no, the marketing strategy has changed. The first song you heard might have had X amount of dollars attached to it. That doesn't guarantee that the next single or the next rollout or the next things will have X amount of dollars attached to it. And with social media and with these things, because it is such a free for all, there is a vested interest in a certain level of centralization, so that you see what companies want you to see. If they're promoting a artist or if they're promoting a movie or whatever, if they got to compete with the common person, the common person has to compete with them. They're going to use the strongest asset that they have, which is money and relationships. So, even with we see a lot of stuff going viral or anything like that, or how this artist is blowing up. A lot of times we have to look at it differently and understand that this marketing strategy is being executed, and that's kind of where. And I say that to say and kind of bring it back is to it kind of gives these kids a little bit of a fallacy on the work that they need to put in, or what really everything that goes into making things move and groove, because you do think, okay, because a lot of times the story is the same. I just posted this and it just blew up and I just don't know what happened. And a lot of times that's just not the truth. It's just a lie.
Yeah.
And so a lot of kids that kind of like get this idea that you could just put something up and it's just gonna go crazy. Sometimes that happens, but as these apps continue to grow, as data comes more important to companies and everything, a lot of times that's not after a certain point. That's just not going to be the reality. There is going to be a lot more influence in not having a wide net of an audience, but having a very specific audience that comes to you for the specific thing. It's going to be less about the number and more about the data. So if your specific audience comes to you for this specific thing and they come to you consistently for this specific thing, then you no matter what the number of that audience is, you have a business and something that you can work with. It's like creating your own music genre or something, right?
Yeah.
That is more leverageable than just a million, something that just has such a wide net nowadays. So we're gonna see a lot of subculture, and what's gonna happen is a lot of those subcultures are then gonna be mainstream and just seeing, okay, how can we profit off of this? So it does leave our youth in a bit of a disillusion, which is unfair to them because they're not really taught the proper way of how things roll out. And so, that's why we have some people that say, okay, I'm gonna just put this up and it's just gonna blow up and I'm gonna just wait to see what happens. It's like basketball, the dudes that play in the NBA, they don't just wait. Okay, I might play back. I'm gonna just shoot a couple shots and see what happens. And no, they got trainers. They got it's a lot of an investment.
Put in the work.
Yeah, and like I said, and it even takes a team. It's a team, and every artist is a team effort. I haven't met one artist that isn't that doesn't have some type of nuclear unit or family unit or some type of structure where it's a team and it's a business. So just like how these young athletes, so you can't think, okay, I'm just gonna shoot a couple shots at a pickup game and I'm gonna make it to the NBA. No, you gotta play at high school. You gotta play JV, varsity. You you have to go through all of the. You gotta do AAU. You gotta do boom, 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 boom. In the music business, in the entertainment game, or in any space, you have to go through. You have to go through that process. And I would suggest any entertainer, any content creator, you approach it like an athlete, and that way you kind of really understand what you're signing up for real. Kids don't really get that.
Yeah. Awesome. Damon, thank you so much for joining us. You can find Damon StCloud _ on Instagram. You can also look him up on Spotify, Apple Music, anything like that, and find his music there. Thank you so much for joining us. You want to find him, find the links below as well.
Yep. Yo, Chris, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you so much, Damon, for joining us. Thank you all for listening. If you want to stay in on the conversation, connect with us on social media at MadPropsPod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also connect with us on Schnabel Studios on Facebook, IG, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and you can subscribe to YouTube. If you haven't seen already, we actually started our website, the Schnabel Studios website. It is schnabelstudios.com. There you can find Mad Props. You can find Sketching Up. You can find Southern Hospitality, Offstage. There's a couple new podcasts that you can kind of preview on there. You can at least see what they are called and stuff like that are coming. There's also articles you can now find. So all that stuff is on schnabelstudios.com. If you really want to stay up to date, go there. Check out schnabelstudios.com. If not, you can follow Mad Props Pod or Schnabel Studios on any social media, and you can stay up to date that way as well. Please subscribe, comment, rate, share everything this podcast. The more we grow, the more we can do, and it all starts with our fantastic community. So please go out there and do all that stuff for that. We really support we really appreciate all the support that we're getting, so we really appreciate you guys that are doing it. Stay locked to the Mad Prop socials as we have some really exciting things coming up. I really want to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it yet. But there's some really fun stuff that's coming up that you're not going to want to miss. You're going to see it first on socials, so definitely make sure you're locked into the socials. Thank you again. If you learned something new, give us some Mad Props in the comments. Reply to us with Mad Props. Give us our props if you learned something new. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for joining us. Damon, we really appreciate you being here. Peace out, everybody. We love you. See you later. This was Mad Props.